We're also streaming live on Facebook again at Port of Tema. Port of Tema. On YouTube, we are streaming live at Eye on Port Ghana. Eye on Port Ghana. Indeed, our media partner on this journey of a lifetime is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. If you want to have a grasp of all that transpired on the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here on the show tonight. As usual, we're going to be getting interactive with you, and so you can send us your messages ahead on our WhatsApp line, which is 0559 019 177. 0559 019 177. Indeed, at the appropriate time, when I receive the green light from my production team, we shall activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. We are back right after this break. Please stay.
Every now and again, Goil makes good things happen. This time, Goil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Go Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Go Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Go Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Go Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goil has that sorted. Goil, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse. And my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance Motor Policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
All right, you're welcome back. So it's now time for us to take a look at happenings in the port and maritime industry in the course of the week. And in the course of the week, the Transport Minister, the Honorable Kwekwe Ofori-Esiama, together with some board members of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, paid a working visit to the Unity Terminal constructed by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Indeed, the Minister had cause to laud the authority for the construction of the terminal. Indeed, the Association of Customs House Agents Ghana, ACHAG, also in the course of the week held its maiden AGM, annual general meeting, over there in the Ebru Hills. I will bring you that story, plus the fact that the GPHA Welfare Association also in the course of the week had cause to go to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital and donate some medical items through that place. Let's take a look at the stories.
The Minister of Transport, Kwekwe Ofori-Esiama, has lauded management of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority for the construction of the Unity Terminal, which he described as a great edifice. He was speaking during his maiden visit to the terminal since the handing over of the facility to GPHA in March 2021. The minister said The terminal is critical to government's objective of promoting efficiency in the maritime trade.
This infrastructure is so crucial to us because it's going to help us to decongest the port. Because if you don't have enough space at the port, then we cannot offload the container. Ship vessels will delay, and once the vessels delay, the cost is being transferred to the final consumer. So it's so important to us that you must have a space at the port there in order for you to offload the vessels that come, in order for them to spend less hours, so that the cost will not be high. In addition to, now that we have a 16-meter draft in West Africa, I think that most people use our port as a transshipment port or as a transit point. And some of the goods have to be offloaded before it is unloaded again. And all this thing needs space.
He tasked GPHA to evaluate the possibility of investing in other facilities nationwide to ease the cost of doing business.
I've also tasked the GPHA that this thing shouldn't be concentrated in Accra alone. We should look at the cluster, look at where our customers are, and see if we can build such facilities in order to ease their burden.
The community terminal is intended to augment the existing infrastructure at the port of Tema. The world-class terminal sits on a 16.2 hectare land and consists of a 105,000 square meter container storage and divining area, a car storage area, control tower, water tanks, transformer house, mechanical shop, fire bay, container freight station, an office complex, banking hall, a cafeteria, and an outdoor parking area, among others. The project, which took 5 years to complete, was funded through a $126 million loan procured from the Canadian Commercial Corporation under a finance, engineer, procure and construct contract.
The Association of Customs House Agents Ghana, ACHAG, has held its maiden annual general meeting since its formation some 6 years ago. ACHAG has a national objective of ensuring maximum revenue mobilization to the state through education of its members. The maiden AGM was under the theme, Digitalization of Customs Processes, Tool for Revenue Mobilization. Speaking at the event, a Deputy Commissioner of Customs in charge of suspense regime, Emmanuel Ohene, said the injection of automation in the port clearance chain has helped in the trade facilitation and revenue mobilization drive of government. He commended stakeholders in the port business for the fruitful partnership that has been achieved and assured that more capacity building programs would be initiated for them to ensure they are abreast with more innovations that will be introduced.
Through these automated processes, our way of doing business have changed and have improved. Now the use of IT tools is no longer alien to any of us in the industry because it is a must-have tool to ensure that your processes can be conducted in a transparent and efficient and cost-saving manner. We have so far been able to support each other and have made serious efforts in ensuring that we can offer training and capacity building.
The president of ACHAG, Yao commended port operators for the rapid transformation of the port, which has taken out all the inefficiencies.
There has been marked discipline and improvement at the port. Though not totally satisfying, the level of compliance at the port now is comparatively very high. It is not only the port, the Tema port, it also applies to all ports of entry. We can confidently attribute these successes to the conscious efforts authorities have made over the years to bring sanity at the ports aimed at maximizing state revenue.
He charged freight forwarders to desist from activities that would cause revenue loss to the state.
A few recalcitrant members of the freight forwarding business are still living in the past and doing all they can to deprive the state of needed revenue. Under some form of influence and pressure, we give in and compromise on our professional standards. As freight forwarders and as citizens of the state, let us be mindful of the fact that our actions and inactions dictate and determine the pace of national development.
A Deputy Minister of State and Industry, Ohene Badukwa Isiama said the introduction of electronic payment systems at the port has ensured the ease of duty payments as part of government's digitalization drive.
The Customs Division of GRE exceeded its revenue targets notwithstanding the negative impact of COVID-19 on businesses and international trade. This achievement may be attributed to the digitization of customs processes and the monitoring systems deployed at the various ports and land borders across the country.
The president of the Port Ladies Association of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Philippa Amanda Ama, has made a clarion call for members of the association to remain diligent in their pursuit of a successful career in the shipping and maritime industry.
I keep telling the ladies that the ball is now in our court. The doors have been opened. It's up to you to walk confidently and enter those doors, those open doors. And we used to talk about the proverbial glass ceiling. Women have shown that it's possible. It's challenging yourself to do better than your predecessor. For me, that should be the goal.
She said now more than ever before, the opportunities for women are abundant and competency is the rule of the game.
Currently, our terminals, we have 2 terminals headed by women. The GJT terminal, the GJT manager is a woman. The transit terminal is headed by a woman. And these are very busy terminals. Yes. So that's why I'm saying that we've come a long way. And it's it's up to them. And I sit back and I'm proud of the work they are doing.
The president of PLAS, who doubles as the corporate procurement manager at GPHA, revealed that the organizational culture at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority has been very supportive of the agenda for increased women participation, paving the way for emulation from other institutions. She urged female staff of the Port Authority and other institutions to challenge themselves to improve and take up opportunities available due to the improved access for women.
I think our management has been very supportive. It's been very supportive. When I joined GPHA, we had only one woman in management then. And over the years, we've increased the number. I see the future as very bright.
Philippa Amanda Ama assured that the Port Ladies Association will continue to provide the platform for unity, mentorship, and advocacy for women working at Ghana's ports. The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority Headquarters Welfare Association has donated assorted medical consumables and equipment to the Pediatric Oncology Unit of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. The items include 4 digital BP monitors with cuff for children, a manual pediatric BP monitor, 15 pieces of digital thermometers, 5 nebulizers, 10 pieces of oxygen saturation device, among others, which sum up to a tune of 15,000 Ghana cedis. These donated items are intended to bolster the unit's capacity to treat children with cancer-related illnesses. Head of the Pediatric Cancer Unit at Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Professor Lorna Awurena, said the items have come in at a critical time and lauded GPH's welfare team for their assistance.
This gift that you've given us, we can't place a value to it. Every single item here is critically needed, even the syringes, even plaster, and the monitors. You don't know what this is going to do. The gloves is really going to help us save the lives of these precious children with cancer.
In a related development, the Operations Unit of Fidelity Bank Ghana has donated some money to help subsidize some of the fees of dialysis patients at the International Maritime Hospital. A token of 5,000 Ghana cedis was donated to help some patients who cannot afford to pay the entire cost of their dialysis treatment at the hospital. The donation comes on the back of the experience of one of the bank staff at the hospital.
Sometimes you meet people who are supposed to be on dialysis for 2 or 3 times a week are doing one dialysis for 3 weeks. And sometimes when they come into the dialysis unit for their treatment, even though you are a patient, you see them and your heart skips a beat. Because this is a human being. And you ask yourself, wow, how are they coping? So it is on the basis of this that I spoke to my colleagues that this year round, during the celebration of our unit's operations week, for our CSR objective, why don't we consider a small token? It may not be much, but I'm sure it will go a long way to help somebody to get that one treatment that they need.
The head of the banking's operation unit of Fidelity Bank, Aaron Amayel, indicated that this donation forms part of the Operations Unit Corporate Social Responsibility for the year. The Chief Executive Officer of the International Maritime Hospital, Dr. Akwesi Champong, expressed appreciation and appealed to charitable members of the society to emulate such kind gestures where possible.
So we are appealing to the general public that anybody who can assist the dialysis unit or any unit that you so desire, we are welcome. We are hoping that in the future, we should be able to get into kidney transplant, that we will be able to solve all these problems, because kidney disease can easily be solved.
All right, so you're welcome back. Those were some happenings in the port and maritime industry in the country in the course of last week. We're now zooming into our discussion proper tonight. And like we rightly said at the beginning of the show, the Association of Customs House Agents Ghana, ACHAG, held its maiden annual general meeting in the course of the week. And the theme centered on digitalization and customs processes. And so tonight, we want to assess, customs processes compliance, and how far we have come in terms of, digitalization. And so tonight we have himself here in the person of Mr. Yao Che, who is the president of the Association of Customs House Agents. Or they've changed you?
I'm not the president.
You're not the president. You're acting president. So you're
so
president
the annual
now.
general meeting has confirmed my position as the president of the association.
Was there an election?
Yeah, there was.
And you won?
I won.
With a landslide?
Unopposed.
Unopposed, okay. Yes. So it was just an affirmation.
I really wanted an
endorsement.
opposition to it, but then nobody came up.
Okay.
Yes.
It means that attests to the good work you have done in your acting capacity.
Yes, we're doing our best. The whole
You only hope that you are going to do better now that you are in the substantive capacity.
Definitely.
Also in the studios is Mr. Smile Agbemenu. He's the Principal Revenue Officer, Customs Policy and Programs, and then a team member of the ICAMS Implementation Committee. Good evening, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
I love that smile. That's your name. Very infectious.
Of course. It will
Thank
put
you
a
very
smile
much.
on the face of everyone.
Absolutely. Sure. So let me start with you, Mr. Yao Che. You held the AGM 6 years down the line since the formation of ACHAG. I know you are one of the founding members of the association. You actually perhaps led the charge for the creation of this noble organization. And 6 years down the line, you had cause to go for a maiden AGM, by all standards, which was a success. What was your impression so far? How did it go for you?
Well, thank you very much. The AGM was quite a great success. In fact, it was even beyond our expectation. Initially, we were about 3 members that we started this association. Over the years, just about 5 years, getting to 6 years now, we've been able to achieve a number of 85 still running. We still have about 15 other members who are still processing their documents for admission. But then at the time when we went in for the AGM, it was 85.
85 members.
Yes, 85. Okay. And there about 70% of our membership were there. We had about 120 delegates and members and guests who were at the AGM. We had it at the Peduase Valley Resort. Yeah. It was a great success. And we also even had a team from the Ministry of Trade who came there to represent the Honorable Minister for Trade, Alan Tramontaine. Now Dokua, the Deputy Minister yes. was there. She came with a team. The MC of Equapim South, Mr. Frank Edu, was also there. We had a representation from Customs. In fact, the Deputy Commissioner for Suspense Regime, Mr. Ohine. Yes. In fact, he even chaired the program. Right. Yes, he was also there. We had a representation from Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, from QBAG, and from FAJ. These are all our brothers and sisters. Yeah. They also came. And we also had a great representation from Ghana Shippers Authority. Okay. Unfortunately, the CEO couldn't make it, but then she was represented, yes. So we had a very good representation, and others also came from various organizations, also were members of our guest team. We ended the program around lunchtime, and we also broke into syndicating groups. We picked issues from the theme for the AGM. That was digitalization of customs processes, tool for revenue maximization. Yes, so we discussed these topics out of the theme in 3 groupings, and it was quite exciting how people contributed. Reports were made out of these group meetings, and We will very soon be publishing this to the various stakeholders. We also had our auditor's report. The auditor came there and read the report to all of us. We examined our finances. And I was so happy that people were very eager. They asked questions. How did you get this income? How were these expenses made and all that? So we were so happy. And at the end of the day...
No element of transparency was there.
Yes, transparency.
And accountability.
Yes, at the end of the day, we were given the go-ahead. We also had our elections, and a very reputable lawyer from Tema, Mr. Richard Apokavi, took us through our constitution, and we also adopted the constitution on that day. Then we also had the almighty elections. Yes, those of us who were unopposed were still recognized as such. Then 5 other candidates were also stood in for elections, and out of the 5, 3 were elected as executive members. Then after that, we definitely had our dinner and had a really, really good session. We had a dance. Yes, we danced.
What a dinner dance.
Yes, dinner dance. We danced deep into the night. Right. Just to crown the day.
I wish I were there.
Oh, you should have been there. It was so nice.
Yes.
So far away in a yes, and the weather too was excellent.
Right.
So it was quite a very out of town program, and we are very happy about it.
A huge success it was.
It was.
All right. So, what informed your choice of the theme? The digitalization of customs processes, a tool for revenue mobilization or maximization?
Yes, I think some from 2017, the government has been projecting this paperless system up to the time that, of course, we also had GCNet and the semi-automated system that were running at that time. And then when ICOMS came in, we realized that it has really taken us off the ground as far as digitalization was concerned. We had a few members who were not too comfortable with it. Then ACHAG, we were really in favor of it, and we went with it. And we realized that, yes, at this time, about 4 years now, about the 5th year, 5 years after the introduction of the paperless system, the system at the port here has drastically changed. We are all very, very, very happy that digitalization at the port is the solution to our problems. Right. Yes. So we felt that let us further discuss it and let us further enhance it in terms of revenue mobilization. So we chose that theme just to make our members much more aware of where we are going to and how we want to get there, and especially our contribution towards the national revenue, which are very, very vital.
Right. Okay, so let me come to Mr. Agwemenu and find out from you. Customs has evolved in terms of your processes. I mean, you used to be heavily dependent on paper, manual. Now you've automated most of your processes. Tell us, how far have we come in terms of digitalization of customs processes vis-a-vis clearance of cargo?
Thank you. Let me just use the opportunity first to bring you warm greetings from the Commissioner General, Commission of Customs, and the management of the division. And also to congratulate my good friend and the ACHAG team members.
Respectfully, can you pull your mic to your...
Sorry, is that okay?
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, sure.
So to congratulate ACHAG for a wonderful and a successful AGM.
Thank you.
In fact, I was one of those who actually saw the formation or the birth of ACHAG. Yeah. So it is welcoming to know that, in fact, they have actually progressed and have done very well. As you rightly said, of course, customs digitization has started way back in the 90s, where we started by introducing the Asikuda system, that is automated system for customs data. And then in the early 2002, we migrated to the GCNet GCMS platform. And then
GCMS, Ghana Customs
Management System platform. That took us, we did some few changes, and then in 2015, about September 2015 to be specific, the functions that were performed by the destination inspection companies, specifically having to do with classification, valuation, was actually brought back to the customs domain. So we then went for another system, which was the pre-arrival assessment reporting system, to assist in we being able to perform that mandate, which was also used for pre-arrival risk management. Then along the lane again, we in 2020 we introduced the paperless system based on Government of Ghana's agenda to digitize the economy and also to make the port more efficient and more attractive. But then you realize that we were actually depending on multiplicity of systems to be able to achieve that objective. So in 2000, Government of Ghana then took a decision to procure a single vendor for an end-to-end customs management system and also a single window system, which then gave birth to the integrated customs management system, ICOMS. And as my good friend has actually enumerated, ICOMS had actually changed the face of processes at the port. Virtually all the customs processes, import, export, and within port, any of the transactions that is required for delivery of goods out of customs control had actually been automated. Then became the issue of how we can cover the entire country. You would agree that in driving it, it is not only the software aspect, you also need a network where all the various entry points and exit points must also be connected. To be able to achieve the objective of digitization means that you are able to tap into every aspect of data collection, so that if you are able to have more data at your disposal, you are able to make a more meaningful decision. It is able to improve on the compliance of people because you are also able to collect enough data and make a decision on how people are behaving. Then you are able to program your system so as to prevent certain aspects of behavior of people. Those that you think are logical for you to seed from them, you take away from them and then you seek to the system. Then you bring uniformity, ease of application. You standardize the processes. Then it becomes more transparent. And of course, the objective of or the mandate of the authority begins to be actualized. Whilst we maximize revenue collection, we are able to also facilitate trade because we now have enough data at our disposal. We are making more decisions at early stages before cargo is brought to the customs area for processing. We are able to know our traders much better so that we can be able to profile them, determine who is supposed to be cleared without any full customs inspection, or those that would require certain form of a treatment. So, and then of course that whilst you do all those ones, you collect rich data. Data is actually one of the most expensive assets of every government now. So you collect data and then you use it for statistical reporting and policy decision making. So of course we have actually come a long way. And with the help of our stakeholders, they are actually helping to fine-tune the processes in line with international best practices. Looking at the WCO, that's the World Customs Organization, same framework of standards, the revised Kyoto Convention, which talks about the simplification of our processes, standardization of the processes. Within the supply chain, if you are able to control the starting and then the end point within the chain, then you are able to exert less controls. Then you can actually put in less resources because you have actually nerfed every activity that is so required into the system, and then push your human resources to where it is more needed. So yes, we have actually gone the wrong way. Thank you.
All right, so would you say, as it stands now, that almost all processes of customs have been digitalized?
Very well. Yes. So if you look at our processes, the processes basically will lead to taking goods out of the country, that is the national customs territory, bringing goods within the country, or for some form of further processing. So long as all these processes are concerned, all of them have been automated. There are some additional processes that we are still improving upon. So if I just give you an example of some of them, if you're looking at auction of goods, which is a very big topic, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at auction, the auction, there are some processes that are manual. So you put in an application, and then we advertise, we forfeit the goods to the state, then it is published for auctioning. People will bid, they will win, they will determine a location for bidding, they will come see products, they would... so all those ones require you to move to, or physically move to locations. These are processes that we are actually now also automating. Has actually been completed. We are in the testing stage.
Okay.
The expectation is that the public would no longer be able to physically move to a customs facility to see these goods before they have interest. They will be published online, and they'll be doing the bidding online, where they are able to have the best bidder.
So that's
the best bidder
e-auction.
wins it. That is e-auction.
Yes.
Then you go through the process. The system itself will generate a declaration and a payment for you. The moment you pay, you go to the facility where the goods are stored for a cargo delivery. So that is one aspect. There is also this one that we're doing called the Advanced Passenger Information Management System, the APIS. Basically, what that do is to collect information on passengers.
And that strictly would be dealing with the airports.
Yes, that is for not that is passengers.
Yes.
So passengers, if it is for air, it is air. If it is for, if you are running a ferry at the seaport, then of course they'll be affected as well.
Okay.
But then that is not for the land borders now. So for the airports, where people be submitting to us their data regarding passengers in advance. So you'd want to study the behavior of passengers, how they are connected, so that by the time passengers arrive, you would have an idea of the cargo they are bringing. You have an idea of where they have traveled to, what they have been exposed to, whether they have been certain profiling done on them, which we need to take certain or particular action on. So when the passengers arrive, those that don't have issues, you give them free passage. Those that you think you need to take a second look at, then you set them aside, and then you conduct an additional investigations on them. So, of course, these are all about digitization. I forgot to even say that, thankfully, this year, our World Customs Organization was celebrating our WCO International Customs Day. The theme was actually on digitization. So digitization has actually become something that all nations are actually going towards. Because if you do that, you are able to better understand the environment that you operate in, and you can take a better decision on them.
Right. Let me come to you. You have seen it all, Mr. Yaoche. I mean, you've been a seasoned freight forwarder for several years standing, close to 3 decades or more. And so I just want to find out from you, I mean, you've seen all the processes evolve, and now this is where we are. How difficult was it for some of your colleagues to accept and embrace these new changes that we are seeing currently in the clearance chain?
Well, initially, the difficulty really stemmed from the fact that we were not properly educated. There were some apprehensions as to what is coming with. There were some apprehensions as to digitalization and unemployment. Some of the staff members were not too happy. It's something that 3 or 4 people can do. We are not going to bring a machine, computer, can do everything. And in fact, it's the reality too. In fact, that's how the whole world is moving towards, so there's nothing we can do about it. And of course, we also made to know that there were a lot of areas, loopholes, some who were not too comfortable to, a few of them, of course, who were not too comfortable because it would seal a few more loopholes that would make things too easy for them. Now, but eventually, the understanding the system now, everybody seems very happy with what is going on. Let me give you an example. It's even possible to take delivery of a consignment from day one to the time it exits at the port without physically seeing a customs officer or seeing any other terminal operator or port operator. For example, when the documents are sent to you online, to your email, you forward these documents after processing to CTSB Customs. They do the assessment. Now they send it back to you for acceptance or rejection. You do that, they give you their tax bill. You get your bill of entry. Now you inform the importer or the client who is in Kumasi, who may be in Kumasi, to effect payment. Payment can be effected online through the bank without you physically seeing who is even making the payment.
Right.
When payment is effected, you go through and request for invoices from the shipping line, you effect payment, they release, you call for invoices from the terminals, you pay, and you are given the go-ahead. Then you go ahead and make bookings online.
Yeah.
The truck driver goes in, loads the container. If it's for Green Channel, it goes out of the port.
Yeah.
So such a system, physically, you don't need to be there. When it's slated for red, is when at the point of examination, your presence will be needed, definitely.
Yeah.
Even there, the examination system is not as cumbersome as previous. Depending on even your records, things go out very early. So I must say that digitalization, as at now, has made the port work very, very, very easy. And we are all happy about it, despite the fact that initially we had some apprehensions about them. Yeah. And the fact that this time it relaxes you. Yeah. And it's web-based too. Yeah. You can stay somewhere in America or somewhere in your village, and just go ahead, control your office, control your documents, control your goods that should come out or not, and all that. And you also assess what is going on, even in your office. You don't need physically to be there. And you can operate 24 hours too. Right. That's also one good thing about the digitalization system that we have now.
All right, let me come to you, Mr. Agwemenu, and find out, apart from trying to meet international standards, apart from meeting the World Customs Organization's benchmarks and standards for your operations as customs, what are some of the benefits you would want to list that accrues from digitalizing your processes?
Okay, so basically I can put benefits into 4 broad categories. So we're looking at conciliation of trade facilitation and supply chain security. In this aspect is where we are also being more efficient at what we do. Right. Because as you digitize, you are communicating with your stakeholders, and you're also communicating within your internal stakeholders. You don't need to move paper from one officer to another officer before a decision is taken. Yeah. If you have issues with a particular consignment, you need to refer. All you do is to escalate. So it's able to reduce the time that it takes for you to process applications. Then we have full coverage of clearance processes and procedures. Then we talk about the data capture and validation. So a lot of the things that we need to do to take decisions, we are expecting you to, when I say, what is your TIN, your tax identification number, I expect it to be of a particular count of characters, say the length and this. So you don't need to now begin to count 1, 2, 3, this. You seed that decision to the system. So the system itself, before, as you are processing your applications, the system is using that information to validate. So we are able to collect a more richer data for decision making. And we also look at automation of the tax calculation. So when you make a declaration, it's a self-declaration. So when you put your declaration, you say, you are bringing this particular bottled water of this quantity of this one from this particular country. Right. The system will be asking you to put in certain information. When you do that, you are able to compute the tax. The reason you're able to compute the tax is because we have implemented the tariff schedule, which is for this particular item, what is government saying is the rate of tax. Yeah. So you put in that one, and the system calculates everything for you. For example, if you we have now gone into the African continental free trade area. If you are coming from the continental area and you want to make a declaration, certain requirements would be required. If you are able to satisfy those requirements, the system itself allows you to have that associated benefit. So these are self-determined benefits based on your own declaration. We also look at the uniform application of the law. of course, that if you are able to automate a lot of these processes, then the application of the law becomes more standard, more uniform. We have made available to the trading community the customs laws and the regulations. So you know, if you want to import goods into the country, if these are goods that are controlled, that require Food and Drugs Authority to grant you a permit, the system itself is asking you to go to Food and Drugs Authority to acquire the permit. If you are unable to acquire the permit, the system denies you the ability to take delivery of cargo. So that is compliance again. So in terms of control goods, the system knows that, yes, you are supposed to go to this particular government agency. You fail, the system checks it. Then we also look at the efficiency in risk management. Again, you have enough data. You have digitized a lot of the systems. You have interconnected with other third-party systems, so other systems that are the port that are also required for you to do business with. So if you go to the port of Tema, for example, you have Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. They have their own internal computer system they used to work with. We need to agree on data sharing. When we go to the Mediterranean Port System, NPS, they have their own computer system they used to work with. We need to share information. So you do that one, and then it is no longer human being going to a stakeholder A, getting this document to come to stakeholder B. We are able to collect this information. You sit, as he said, regardless of you are sitting now in the world, you have complements of this information. You are able to access and then push your application from one stage to another. So these are all derived benefits. Then, of course, because we are able to cause you to be a bit more compliant at what you do, the revenue that is associated with it also is collected for the state, which is the paramount one. And then we now introduce, as we have introduced, the government had introduced the Ghana.gov payment and settlement platform. Makes it much more easier for you to go to anywhere, any bank, or sit in the comfort of your house and be able to pay for the goods and that you are importing. And when that is paid, the money is actually seamlessly again transferred to the coffers of government without human interference. So you notice that the state is able to get its revenue. The trading community is able to take their cargo within the specified period or at a faster rate. Customs is able to simplify and be able to quickly process your documents. So, and then within it, because we are now able to identify commodities and put controls on whether they are restricted and they are not supposed to be brought under this condition or so, then we are also making the society more safer. So you can see all these things are benefits that we get from digitization.
All right. So let me come to you, Mr. Che, and find out, you've enumerated some of the benefits that is accruing to us in terms of, you know, the implementation of this whole digitalization system. Is this the level of digitalization the likes of you, those in the freight forwarding fraternity, want to see in our country, or you think that there's still more room for improvement?
Well, we think there's more room for improvement, especially this time when some of the shipping lines are still asking that you physically come to their offices before you'll be able to release a consignment. I must say Maxline, MSC, and CGMA are doing well so far. You can easily pay online, sit in the comfort of your office. Immediately, about within 10-15 minutes, they respond and you can move ahead. But some other shipping lines will still ask you to physically submit your receipts before they release your consignments for you. The other problem we're also having is that we are having complaints from our clients that the banks are not ready to accept telex releases or shippers' own they are not really ready to accept telexes for transfer of their currencies. They are still asking for the original bill of lading. Now, the shipping lines are gradually moving away from the submission of the physical bill of ladings to releases electronically.
Right.
So at times when they come in without the original bill of ladings and they are after clearance of goods and they go in with their telex reports to transfer their currencies, becomes a difficulty for them. So I think you have to use this platform and ask that customs can talk to the Bank of Ghana to try and resolve this issue, because it's a big problem for them. Yes, because in the absence of the hard copy or the original bill of lading, can you ship owners shippers owner bill of bill, or you can do it by the telex.
Right.
You don't need physical original bill of lading. But then the Bank of Ghana or the banks are asking for the original bill of lading. I must also say that even the terminals, some of them are still asking that you physically come there. They are still not online. They will physically come there for an invoice, go to the bank, bank of their preference, go and pay, and bring the paying slip there before they can issue receipt for you. As at now, some of the terminals are still doing the same. So it looks as if, despite the fact that the government has done so much, customs is also doing very well, some other shipping lines and the terminals are still lagging behind. Some of them, I'm sure, about 5, 6 years behind us, which we need to push them up. MPS is doing 24 hours, 7 days, giving us 7-day service. But then some other terminals are still not giving us that type of service. You'll be surprised that some of them will close as early as 4 p.m. on weekdays. And on weekends, they don't come open their terminals at all. So it means that we still have a problem to go as far as digitalization is concerned. Why can MPS do it, others can't do it within the same port setup? GPHA, for example, also demands that you deposit your delivery order 24 hours before delivery. This we are still pushing that. They should be able to do this within 12 hours or so. I mean, it shouldn't be 24 hours. Yes, it should be shortened. So I think that these are some of the areas that we are still having problems. Apart from that, the system is working very well.
Whose responsibility is it to whip these people in line?
My dear customs officers will have to do that. Ghana Shippers Authority will also have to come in. And we also need to put some pressure on them to set up to do some of these things. Yes. Yes. There are some of these. I'm sure at times I think it's just about laxity. Yes. If A is able to do it, I think B should be able to do it. Yes. I think we need to push them, and maybe if sanctions will work, they should be able to do that and sanction them.
Right.
They should be able to come online.
Do you think there were some loopholes, when we were not all that digitalized in the clearance chain? And,
yes, there were loopholes, I must confess. Those were the times we could hear of missing containers, which was very common practice here and there because the data may not be too well kept. Some of the information on or the history behind some containers were manually written or were not written at all. So when the container is able to find its way amongst others, other duty-paid ones, gets out of the port, that could be the end of it. But this time, you don't have it that way. Very, very, very difficult, if not impossible, to do that. So I think that this is one of the major loopholes that it really has sealed. And that has also reflected in the revenue coming in since the last 4 or 5 years to the state.
Right.
Apart from that, in our offices, to be able to keep our data very well, not that at times customs will come 5 years later and ask you, hey, give us information on this. You just click on the button of your computer and be able to get everything. Even before they come here, they also have the data because we are still on the same link. So it's also another area that we are so very, very, very comfortable with. Those times you have to go and search data documents from your files before you'll be able to do that. But this time, when you just go on the system, you should be able to get every data for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Agwemenu, before the digitalization of customs processes, what would you say was the rate of smuggling? This was something we used to hear a lot about.
So anyway, as my good friend rightly said, if you're able to control the clearance process from the start to end, then of course that you're able to properly account for all the goods coming into or out of the country. And that seems to be the practice now. Of course, that where you were largely manual, you agree with me that even keeping records would be another thing. So even if you are given figures, will not be very accurate because this is a lot of paperwork. You need people to put them together. If an arrest is effected in, let's say, the northern part of the country, then somebody must send a telex to a message to Accra before that is recorded. If that message is not sent in time, you don't even report on it. So looking at the figures of smuggling, of course, it will be a bit difficult for you to even put a figure to it when we were actually largely paperful. But as you are paperless, you are looking at offenses. So what are the offenses that are coming up? Offenses relating to smuggling, where you have actually not declared to the government authority bringing the goods into the country or taking it out of the country, and then you are caught. They will say you have smuggled, or that you have brought the goods. You declare that you are bringing a certain quantity of a particular item. Then upon examination, it ends up that you have actually declared lesser quantity, or you were declaring a particular item. Upon examination again, ends up to say you have declared rather a different item. So these are things that we are now able to quantify. We are able to detect and quantify. When you detect, what the system does is actually to take it back into its risk processing. Identifies you, the person who had committed the offense, identify the commodity in question, identify the location where it happened, where it is coming from. Certain parameters would now be activated so that subsequent transactions of the similar kind would be given a different treatment. So of course, so we can say all these ones are now in place. Again, we measure risks before arrival of cargo, during the clearance process, and after it has been cleared. So even if we are not able to be able to detect it before arrival or during the clearance process, there is also again the opportunity for post-clearance audit to be able to unravel all these things that were cleared, that due diligence was also not done on the part of the declarant. So yes, of course, this is how far we have been able to come in terms of prevention of offenses. So I'll not limit it just to smuggling, but then there are a series of customs offenses, and smuggling is one. So there are quite other of them: misclassification under declaration, or where you have falsified the invoice or any of the trade support documents. So there are kind of series of them. So of course, if you are able to get information from the shipping line, which has not been tampered with. So shipping line tells you that you are bringing this particular item of 20 tons, that is 20,000 kilograms. If it is this bottled of water, then it is obvious the quantity of bottled water will be expecting you to declare. So if you under declare, it is obvious for you to do basic mathematics for the system to tell you that you have under declared this quantity. So yes, these are all customs related offenses that we are now better able to detect and prevent.
Okay, so this is I Import here on Metropolitan Television, and tonight we are discussing customs compliance of customs processes in an era of digitalization. And you just heard Mr. Smile Agwemenu, who is a principal officer at the Customs Policy and Programs Department. He's also a team member of the ICOMS Implementation Committee. You also have in the studio the president of the Association of Customs House Agents Ghana, ACHAG, Mr. Yauche here, doing the discussions with us. We'll go for a break. When we bounce back, we'll continue the discussion. Please do stay with us.
Now and again, Goil makes good things happen. This time, Goil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goil Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goil Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Gold Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience that is less vibrations. Fill up with Gold Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goil has that sorted. Goil, good energy.
Electricity, the pay of taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse. And my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Suddenly my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
All right, so you're welcome back. We are moving straight into the discussion once again, and I would go straight to Mr. Yauche and find out. During the AGM, you made a profound statement. You said a few recalcitrant members of the freight forwarding business are still living in the past and doing all they can to deprive the state of needed revenue. Under some form of influence and pressure, we give in and compromise on our professional standards. Well, is that really the case?
Well, it's just the case in some very few instances. And as I said, we've come a long way, and there are changes that we all need to conform or comply. There are some of our friends who still want to have it just as in the past. But some of them are also doing that under pressure from some clients.
Okay, just under pressure from some clients. Let me announce that the phone lines are activated now. And the number to dial is 020-552-8353, 020-552-8353. You can call in and contribute to the discussion. Yes.
Yes. So at times somebody comes in and tells you that, yes, I have a consignment, I don't have an invoice. Customs demands that you bring an invoice, you bring a bill of lading, you bring a parking list. I don't have an invoice. It could be true that some of them may not even have the invoices from wherever they bought. Some of them might have bought the goods on the open market.
Yes.
And some of them too may intentionally be hiding their invoices. So you need to interview the client very well before you make a decision.
Right.
Else it will push you into a problem, into trouble. Yes. Some of them too, they know maybe the cost of the duties for those items are quite high. He will tell you, yes, I have 2,000 pieces of this item in the container. You get to the place, you open the container maybe for examination, and it could be 3,000.
Yeah.
In that case, customs would blame you, hold you, the agent, responsible. But for very genuine reasons, the agent may not be aware of what has happened. At times, that would be the first time we see the consignment. Customs also see the consignment when you open the containers. But at times when we have these excesses, customs will blame you, say, hey, you, the agent, you could be a part of it.
Okay.
So that's the type of influence and that's the pressure at times we have from our clients.
Yeah.
So we need to do the interview very well before, look at at times you need to do the calculations and look at the weight of a particular item, multiply by the total quantities and see if that the items in the container should be able to equal the weight that has been declared on the manifest or on the bill of lading.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me go to the phone lines and welcome Kwabna from Tema onto the show. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes.
Yeah, please, my contribution it's a general contribution I want to make about some of the terminals that are not working on weekends, which ideally I think it really affects our business, because looking at it now as it stands, how the trade business is growing up and now, some of the terminals need to also know that wasting 2 days, let's say Saturday and Sunday, is a cost to the client, and they're being charged for. So ideally, I think some of the terminals should also emulate what they are doing, MPS and other terminals are doing on with 24/7 services that they are rendering, so that they can also catch up with our trading business. And also, another thing I also want to draw a line on it, holidays, but shipping lines are still charging for demorages. It's a holiday, but they are still taking demurrage charges for, which you know very well that very holiday you are not working.
Thank you very much indeed, Kwabna from Tema. We are grateful to you for your call. Indeed, you can also give us a call. The number to dial is 020-552-8353. That's on your screen there. You can call us and then contribute to the discussion. Let me go into the inbox and pick some messages. This one says, why is it that if I import a car, the charges vary depending on agent? He's called Ali. Well, I think that Mr. Agwemenu may want to prefer some answers to you. He says he imports a car, and anytime he imports, the charges, vary. It depends on the agents that he's dealing with. What would you tell him?
When he refers to charges, I think it is broader than we may be expecting it to be the customs duty and taxes.
Yeah.
So that is one of the aspects that people would be. So when you engage the services of an agent, one of the things I keep saying is that ask the agent to give you the tax bill so that you do the payment yourself. That you are sure how much government is charging you for the vehicle you have brought.
Right.
Because we have a central database for vehicle valuation, and the values are more unique than you'll be thinking. So you wouldn't go for a value which is $10 today, and somebody else gives you it $11. So long as the specifications of the vehicle are the same, it is pointing to just a single value.
Right.
So maybe the other charges may be the contributing factor.
Charges, okay.
We need to decompose the charges to know what exactly
he's talking
may
about.
be referring to. But
let me also come in. It depends at times. We didn't get too much information about the very vehicle he's talking about. All could be Toyota 1.8. One could be LE.
Yeah, one could be XE. That
and then the clients at times they think that why we should have paid the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, even depends on the time of clearance. The rate of exchange might have even changed.
Different, yeah, sure.
It depends on which shipping line even brought in their vehicle.
Right.
There are a lot of variables that we may not be privy to. And at times they blame the clearing agent for all these differences.
Absolutely. Let me welcome Kojo. He's also calling us from Tema. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you indeed for joining us. Please flow.
Hello.
Yes, Kojo.
Yes, sir.
Please flow.
Okay, this is Kojo calling from Tema.
Yes.
Please, mine has to do with a little contribution. It has to do with the CFS charges.
Yes.
It is too much. I don't want to mention the names of the terminals. It is becoming too much. And the unstuffing charges, unstuffing that GPHA and MPS are taking, for instance, 700, 300 for partial unstuffing. Other terminals are taking as much as 2,000 Ghana cedis and give Quebec, and the others are quiet, saying nothing. And this thing keep happening day in and day out.
Right. Right.
Please, I'll beg you guys to kindly do something on it for us. And I also want to give a kudos to Mr. Smile. They are doing a great job. His customer service is indeed appreciated.
Okay.
God bless the team.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kojo. We are grateful to you for your call. You want to say something? He's blaming you guys for sitting aloof and not doing anything about some of the high charges that some of the terminals charge.
In fact, this issue even came up at the AGM, and during my speech, I even enumerated on these problems that differences in charges between the shipping lines and the terminals are at times so huge, especially when it comes to the application of even rate of exchange. At times, even though it could be the same week, but you have different rate of exchange being used by the shipping lines.
Right.
We have made complaints to Ghana Shippers Authority, and I think that they are working seriously on it, and we will have to still put some pressure on them to respond to some of these differences in charges. When you come to the port, what he's saying is very true. The terminals, there are so much difference between even what MPS and GPHA is taking and what others, for example, TBT. He said he wouldn't mention any of the terminal, but then I'm sure he's talking about TBT. Their charges are quite high. I have a lot of complaints on my table now from Achak members complaining about the very high charges of TBT. And unfortunately, too, they are the very one who also always ask you for manual invoices and ask for receipts. They don't even move fast. They also don't work even on Saturdays and Sundays, and they also close at 4 p.m. So he's right, and the differences are just too much.
Right.
And I think Ghana Shippers Authority, we are still in link with them. We would put some pressure on them to respond to some of these complaints from the public.
All right. So let me go on to the phone lines and welcome Etonam, who is calling us from Tamale. Good evening, sir.
Yes. Evening, sir.
Yes. Please raise up your voice a bit and speak.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but if you can raise up your voice a bit.
Hello?
Yes, absolutely. It's clear now. Good evening, sir. Etonam. Hello? Well, I think we've lost Etonam. He may want to make contact with us again by calling, and he'll be connected to us so that we can see what his concerns are. This one says, good evening. Please, I want to ask Mr. Smile about some permits that the system asks about. Like, for instance, some medical device tariff asks for Ministry of Health permit, and you cannot apply for it. There are some other ones too. And is it something you want to talk about? He says, please, Smile about some. I want to ask Mr. Smile about some permits that the system asks about. Like, for instance, some medical device tariff asks for Ministry of Health permit, and these are permits they cannot apply for. Is it something you want to talk about?
Okay, I think we need to be, if I get more information regarding that particular one, we can investigate. What we have done is to, of course, that we are working with other government agencies. One of the requirements or obligation of customs is that cargo that are controlled are not delivered without proper permit.
Okay.
So the system itself is able to tell that for this particular item, you are supposed to go to this particular ministry, department, or agency to acquire a particular permit in that regard. Where you are not able to acquire the permit, the system truncates the process until that is fulfilled.
Okay.
So we need to know, and this list of items are items that we work together with the stakeholders. So if it is a Ministry of Health permit, then we are expecting Ministry of Health to provide to customs the list of these commodities. So we'll be happy to have details of that one. Then we can reach out to the ministry to find out whether that is part of the controlled items.
All right. I guess Etonam and Ernest are still trying to make efforts to come on to us, but we have Isaac from Achimota on the line. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, please flow.
I have a question for the custom officer. Recently, I've noticed that we provide the year, make, and model, including the total VIN number for the vehicle for them to give us the duties. However, after you get the duties and you make the payment, on the day of clearing, you are told the duty is wrong. And then you have to go back and pay some extra difference. So my question is, why can't they make the system so that once they have the VIN number, they should be able to give you the correct duty based on the VIN number, so that you don't have to go back and forth paying the same duty, to even the Canada go.
All right. Thank you very much. Did you get his question?
Yes, I got it. Right. So I think it's just my honorable friend had just explained some of these ones. When you are importing, the law says at the time of entry. So if you are expecting that a vehicle is to be brought into the country this month, and you put in a declaration in advance of the vehicle being brought in, there is a delay. It may affect the time of entry, depending, which has an effect on the age of use of the vehicle. So if you bring in a used vehicle, so for example, if it is within 6 months, then it is deemed not to be depreciated. So we use the purchase price. So if it goes beyond 6 months into another category, there's a depreciation. If it goes beyond that one and into more than 10 years, there's a penalty. So it depends on which of these parameters is affecting the person. So it may be that the person has brought in a particular vehicle this month and bringing the same vehicle next month. Because there's a change in the month, it may have affected the age of the vehicle. Which may contribute to the payment of a penalty or not. There's also another one having to do with the charge of disinfection. So you may indicate that the vehicle is containerized. There is a charge of disinfection different from when you indicate that the vehicle is not containerized. So where the information provided at the initial stage differs from when the actual thing has happened. Because when we receive the manifest, it tells us the true nature of the cargo. The system itself would determine that whatever it is that you provided in the first instance wasn't accurate, and then would ask for a computation of the tax. Some of these are what contributes to the change in the tax amount to pay.
Okay, all right.
I think one of the common problems is that of the rate of exchange. At times, they will bring the vehicle today, give you the documents, you even process, go to CTSB, you get your valuation, assessment, everything. You give him the duty, 21,420. He waits maybe 2-3 weeks before payment.
By which time the exchange rate would have changed. Okay.
So that the payment will take effect at the time that you are paying. So the rate will have to change. So when you have a difference about 2,000 or 1,500 cedis, and that was a big problem for you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I understand Etonam from Tamale is back on the line. Good evening, sir. Etonam.
Oh, good evening.
Yes. Please flow.
Yes. Now, can you hear me?
Absolutely, yes. You are clear.
Okay. I want to appreciate our brother Smile Agbemenu and our brother Yauche, yourself inclusive both for the education you are giving us.
Thank
but
you
then
very
I
much.
would like to know, if the Ghana Traffic would sooner or later become the primary document. I would like to suggest that if there are no plans yet in place, this could be done so that when every transaction is being made, because it will become the primary identity.
Hello, Etonam.
It will become the primary document for transaction. Everything that somebody is doing internationally and locally in the country, once it comes online, then everything can be reflected so that the challenges within the interconnectivity of the other institutions which are working in the port and together with Ghana Revenue Authority, they can all communicate together so that the government can get the necessary, revenue to build the country. And I want to appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Etonam, all the way from Tamale. We're grateful to you for your time. Do you want to make any comment with regards to his
I'm not sure I wasn't too clear. I don't know, but I thought he was rather commending and encouraging
us
to,
the latter part of his submission.
Yes, to put in moral effort. So thank you for that.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, he wants the Ghana card to be used at the ports. That once it will become the primary document for all transactions. So we should adopt it for usage in the port in terms of clearance of cargo and all that.
That's the Ghana card.
Yes.
Of course. I think if you come to the acceptance of the Ghana card in terms of processes, GRA Customs is actually one of the first institutions to do that. That we have actually currently running parallel because of government decision that we continue the use of the old tax identification number up to a particular time, whilst we also use the Ghana card. So you are able to use the Ghana card and also the old one. Where you have got the Ghana card, then we disable the old one and then you use the Ghana card. So, in fact, the use of the Ghana card has actually increased significantly. Majority of the traders are actually trading using the Ghana card. So, of course, it is now much easier to be able to track a particular taxpayer from all the aspects of the tax regime. So we have adopted it and we are using it. We would encourage everyone to go for it.
All right, I'm going to take the messages, but I want to take them all so that you take notes. And if there are any responses you'd want to prefer, then you do that whilst we also, pick more calls. And so this one says, congratulations to Mr. Che and the team. I'm happy to have seen the birth and rapid growth of ACHAC. I believe with your leadership, the vision will be achieved. This one is from Joseph Oliver Boas. He continues. He says, I have a question for Smile. Clearing of ships pass in transit for offshore support vessels transiting our port is becoming very challenging. If there are clear evidence and the vessel is not coming to work in our waters, why can't their spares be cleared just like the conventional vessels? And this one says, good evening. I'm watching live from Saudi Arabia. Please, why don't you consider using the Ghana card data at port for goods clearance and mobilization of revenue, since the Ghana card is tax identification number to know how many people pay their tax before the clearance of the goods? This one says, I'm interested in purchasing some of the impounded vehicles for personal use, but I don't know how to go about it. Kindly ask him for me. And this one says, this is in response to the first caller on the demurrage issue. There is a saying that once a demurrage, always a demurrage. Always on demurrage. So it's very important for agents to proactively advise their clients on advanced preparations and timely payments. It's also from Joseph Oliver Boas. Good evening, I am Port. I salute my two bosses this evening. Please inquire from the PMP man why, in an era of digitalization and, of course, the ICOM system, the shipping lines delivery order still depends on evidence of duty payments. I think Mr. Yauchi mentioned that. This one is from a freight forwarder. And Ohima in Tema says, good evening, I am Port. Congratulations to ACHAG. For digitization, customs has really come a long way. It's only their officers at the DVLA who are refusing to go along with with the tide, always insisting and demanding for bank-stamped hard copy duty receipts. Customs really need to check this. Well, thank you very much, Ohima, for the message. I know you have noticed all of them down, so if you can quickly respond and then we move on.
Okay, the first one having to do with the ship stores.
Yes.
The sort of ship parts.
Yeah.
But of course, so long as the goods are within customs control, the tendency that it may be used for a different intention, the intention for which you wanted to use it could be diverted, and it has revenue implications. So it is controlled. You need to put in a declaration, and then we need to process it, determine the tax liability, and then you can secure a particular bond in favor of that. Right. So I don't know if that process is what he's referring to as cumbersome, but of course we work with the associations. Yes. So if they route some of these concerns to the association, we are happy to re-audit the process and see how we can improve on it.
Right.
The use of the Ghana card, as I mentioned, we are using it, and I think we are one of the agencies that have used the Ghana card the most.
Right.
And we are also encouraging every person to go for it, and we are happy to use it. We don't have a choice. We are not the generating system. It's generated by another government agency, and then we use the information.
Yeah.
So long as the information is available, we would always continue to process it. The purchase of vehicles, I understand he wants to. Anytime we want to auction vehicles, we would actually publish it in the dailies. Media, yeah. So they could be checking the dailies, and of course, when it is time for one, he could follow per the directive in the dailies.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned, we'll be implementing the e-auction very soon, where he is able to sit regardless his location and bid for any of those ones by himself.
Right.
The pictures will be there for you to go through and make a decision. The case of demurrage, that is one of the reasons why we introduce what we call the pre-manifest declarations option as a clearance plan. When you choose that, you are able to put in your declaration, you put in all your, whatever is required of you, way in advance of arrival of cargo. So you are able to get your taxes to pay, how much you're supposed to pay. You are able to make payment of your taxes and fulfill all other ministry requirements. All that to be left for you is for the cargo to arrive, and you fulfill the shipping line charges, requirements, and the port charges, and you take delivery of cargo. If you are a compliant trader and the commodity is not a controlled one, you go and it is green, you just go and take delivery of cargo without customs inspection. Then I got the one having to do with shipping lines requesting for duty payments. Before you can take delivery of cargo, one of the key things that we are interested in as government is that the taxes that are supposed to be paid on it is paid. Or if taxes are not supposed to be paid, the taxes are deferred. The security so required of it is secured. So for that matter, before the shipping lines are able to have access to the electronic information for processing, the tax condition must be fulfilled. So it is even not the shipping line determining. That is government determining. Before you can go to the shipping line, the tax option of it must be fulfilled before the shipping line can have access to the information for processing. For the case of DVLA, I agree that in the digital era, we are no longer depending on printed documents because, again, those ones are more subject to doctrine. So we are encouraging the use of the validation through the electronic platforms. In fact, for any other person who is bringing goods, whether you are an internal user, which is customs, or you are an external person, which is other governments, or you, the trader, you can actually get 1-2 information of your transactions and go onto the external portal without a login and be able to verify that whatever it is that is coming is legitimate.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed. We have barely 2 minutes to go, but I have these 2 messages. Let me take them, and then we shall be wrapping up. This one says, good evening. Please, if a young person wants to... Okay, for further clarification, 2 of us imported same car, same specifications, yet changes paid at bank varied from agent. Charges paid at bank varied from agents. Why the difference? This one is from Ali. He sent an earlier one. This one says, good evening. Please, if a young person wants to start a car importation business, what are some of the processes to go through, and where should he start? Ohima from Tema once again says, special greetings to Mr. Agwemenu. I'd like to find out why the system is now referring people clearing items like wooden furniture to FDA. This is creating a lot of delays during clearance, especially as the agents get to know at the point of examination. And this one is a follow-up. So what I meant was that instead of the officer accepting clearance under ship spares with all the requirements in place, you are still asked to pay duties instead of paying the bond and other payments. Just in 1 minute, is there any way you would want to respond, and then we wrap up?
So if it is ship spares, in fact, as we have mentioned, all our procedures have been digitized. So if you pick the right procedure, the system will never ask you for duty payment. So if it is ship spares, the system itself wouldn't ask you to pay duty. But for the duty is deferred, and for that matter, you secure a form of a guarantee to cover it. So even if an officer tells you to go and pass to pay duty, the system itself will not support the duty payment. Unless you are using a different regime.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much indeed. And this is where I would like to draw the curtain on tonight's edition of Eye on Port here on Metropolitan Television. Indeed, we have been discussing customs clearance, compliance of customs processes in an era of digitalization. And with me in the studios has been Mr. Smile Agwemenu, who is Principal Revenue Officer, Customs Policy Programs, and team member of ICON's Implementation Committee. Mr. Yauche, President of the Association of Customs House Agents Ghana, ACHAG. And indeed, we'd like to say thanks to our sponsors, Ghana Port and Harbours Authority, Goyle Company Limited, Serene Insurance, Ghana Revenue Authority, as well as Ghana Link Network Services, the operators of the Integrated Customs Management System at the port. Executive directors or executive producers for the show, Mrs. Esther J. Bidonko and Nana A.C. Soderberg. We thank you so much. God willing, next week we shall bounce back with another wonderful edition of Eye on Port. Remember, the abridged version is aired on Ghana Television every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. My name is Kennedy Mona. Thanks for watching and have a super week ahead.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.
The world has seen a lot of evolution in recent times. Global network facilitated by trade continues to grow stronger and forge nations closer together.
On International Trade Focus, we'll share with you the current industry, tech, and commercial avenues turning the world's trade wheel. This is your gateway to international business connections and trading events. Get the inside views, vital information, trends, and analysis on emerging trade giants in Ghana and beyond. International Trade Focus, the global television trade showcase, transcending barriers in creativity and innovation. Join me, Anna Spiel, as I give you a whole menu of international trade activities. International Trade Focus, your timely business hub. International Trade Focus is brought to you by GOL, ADB, Pediatric Valley Resort, and Public Elegance.